Part 27. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 265. Standing in the crowded crowd, Fan Chenyang felt mixed emotions. The inconspicuous little lord at the beginning has now become a dominant overlord. And he kept struggling, even at the cost of changing his allegiance, but in the end he still became someone else's prisoner. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart, bad luck, fate plays tricks on people. Looking at his former big brother Zuchqi, he was a little embarrassed at this time. Everyone, I will give you two choices now. One is to join Wanatown. You can join my army or choose to become a civilian. The second is to leave Wanatown. Don't worry, I will never stop you. However, the resurrection of the undead will take about 10 days. You must think about where to go. Wang Shuo believed that most people must be rational. And those who are unwilling to join, Wang Shuo is too lazy to pay attention. He doesn't need this population at all. Forcing people to join will reduce loyalty, which is not worth the loss. However, if some individuals join Wanatown, it is still easy to say under Wang Shuo's nose. If they have rebellious intentions, Wang Shuo will never be merciful. The people below whispered to each other. Soon, they made a choice. Most of the gang leaders and core members chose to leave. Wang Shuo stood on the city wall, looking at the more than 2,000 people who left, and sighed. After a while, their figures had disappeared. Wang Shuo walked down the city wall, and Ayub walked out of the city with the Golden Fire Cavalry. After returning to the Lord's mansion, Wang Shuo called Gongzheng, Gongkai and Li Jiangguo to the meeting room. Then he handed the intermediate general job transfer certificate to the three. The four of them used the job transfer certificate together to upgrade to the level of intermediate generals, and there was another one, which was naturally prepared for Ayub. At this time, Ayub was carrying out his mission. On the plain, the setting sun was like blood, a scarlet. Wang Shuo took out the certificate of priest job transfer again. At this time, Chang Gui immediately said, "Lord, give me this." Wang Shuo was slightly startled and joked, "You don't even have a body, how can you change your job?" "Lord, I know a secret method that can cast a body that can accommodate the soul." Huh. After Chang Gui told Wang Shuo the secret method, Wang Shuo frowned. This casting method is similar to the manufacturing method of the Golden Armor Warrior, but it requires a large amount of dark wood. At present, dark wood is extremely precious to Wang Shuo. Wang Shuo immediately summoned Hadro. When they left last time, the two agreed that Hadro would help collect dark wood. After Hadro came, he brought 10,000 units of dark wood. Wang Shuo traded it for 200,000 energy crystals. 1 unit of dark wood can make thousands of dead spirit beads. With so many dark woods, Wang Shuo directly asked the woodworking workshop to use 500 units of dark woods, plus some precious woods collected from the Nanshanji warehouse, to cast a body for Chang Gui. Just then, De Huang ran out from the backyard. What made Wang Shuo's eyes light up was that there was also a black native dog and a white pug following behind it. Wow! He also found 2 little friends. Wang Shuo squatted down, stroked De Huang, and then stroked the black dog and the pug. The 2 dogs did not dodge, and seeing De Huang's intimate look, they seemed to let down their guard. Woof, woof. Wang Shuo understood that this was what De Huang wanted to eat. So he took out a handful of energy crystals from his backpack and put them in front of them. This is equivalent to his own child, bringing a few friends, and wanting to treat the friends to food. Wang Shuo still has to give this face. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 266. Just when Wang Shuo placed the energy crystal on the ground, the dog tag onto Wang's neck reacted. Emits a faint gray light. Wang Shuo's pupils shrank and he observed carefully. After looking at it for a while, the dog tag seemed to be swallowing more energy crystals. Wang Shuo didn't rush to invest more energy crystals just in case. Agi, do you know what this is? Lord, according to my observation, this should be a prop that can open a different space, similar to a portal. Wang Shuo was thoughtful. He called Gong Zheng and Gud over. Afterwards, Wang Shuo began to pile energy crystals near the dog tags. The dog tag began to absorb energy, slowly at first, and soon it was like a bottomless pit, constantly swallowing it. Wang Shuo was shocked. He had invested 80,000 energy crystals so far. After a while, the absorption speed began to slow down, and finally 150,000 energy crystals were spent. The dog tag finally stopped absorbing energy. However, it sucked in the 3 dogs and Wang Shuo around them. Wang Shuo and others fell from high altitude. He was beaten to pieces. You have entered the Hell 3-headed dog breeding base. Wang Shuo heard the system prompt and knew that he had entered another dungeon. Cerberus 3-headed dog? When I hear the name, it sounds so fierce. What comes into view is a dilapidated breeding base. Many kennels and cages were built inside, but there was no dog inside. There were lots of dried dog droppings scattered on the ground. The cage had suffered varying degrees of damage, and the iron cage was in decay. It seems that this place has been abandoned for a long time. If this was the place where the Kukulum of Black Dragon City kept his dogs, it would have been here for thousands of years. The breeding base covers a large area, and there is a large dense forest outside. Woof! De Wang barked, and the dog's hair stood on end. Suddenly, dogs barked one after another in the jungle. There are other dogs here. Wang Shuo was alert. The sound of dogs barking came from far away, approaching quickly. Alert! Judging from the sound, there must be a lot of dogs. Soon, countless vicious dogs surrounded Wang Shuo and others. One of them was particularly huge, comparable to an adult bull. The whole body is covered with shiny black dog hair, and the neck is covered with gray and white stripes. The weirdest thing is that it has 3 heads, 1 white, 1 black, and 1 gray. On the huge head, there are sharp fangs and fierce eyes. The other vicious dogs also have 3 heads and bodies ranging from big to small. Wang Shuo checked the attributes. 3-headed dog of hell, golden boss. Level 40. Attack power, 1000. Defense, 600. Health value, 8000. Skills, corrosive poison, burning flames, healing energy. Wang Shuo thought about it carefully, and if there was only this one boss, the 3 of them could fight it out. Prepare to fight. Gong Zheng took the lead, jumping in front of the boss and activating the taunting skill. Wang Shuo followed closely behind, his spear shot out like a dragon. Gud took out his sunset bow and aimed at the dog's head. Gud himself was level 45. After equipping him with the sunset bow, Wang Shuo also gave him a set of gold level leather armor. His combat effectiveness was even better than before. The 3 of them faced the 3-headed hell dog with a violent output. Simply, the other dogs around him didn't swarm him. This gave Wang Shuo and the others a chance to besiege the boss. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 267. Wang Shuo was a little puzzled. Why did the other vicious dogs not attack? Then he thought, maybe this golden boss hadn't fought for too long, and wanted to establish prestige in front of other vicious dogs. Whatever the reason, Wang Shuo focused on attacking. After a round of skill attacks, Wang Shuo and Gud directly knocked off 1/3 of the boss's health. Woof! The 3 heads kept barking. The black head spit out a black smoke, the gray head spit out yellow flame smoke, and the white head spit out light white smoke. The black and yellow smoke caused a lot of damage to Gongzheng. Fortunately, he had petrified skin and was not burned. Good and Wang Shuo took the opportunity to stay away and were not hurt. The white smoke spit out by the boss lingered around it, constantly wandering on the wounds on its body. Those shocking wounds healed quickly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Seeing this magical scene, Wang Shuo was helpless. Now he couldn't get close to the boss at all. Good found the right opportunity and kept using 3 stars in a row and ice and fire double arrows. This long-range attack made the boss even more furious. He wanted to rush over, but was blocked by Gongzheng. When the smoke was almost dissipated, Wang Shuo joined the battle again. The surrounding vicious dogs looked around, and several people were at maximum firepower output. After another round of attacks, the health of the hellhound reached the bottom. At this time, it didn't pretend anymore. With a woof woof, the surrounding vicious dogs also pounced on it. Wang Shuo's heart sank, and the situation worsened. He hurriedly took out a handful of thunder that had not been used up before. Throw it out. Bang, bang. Explosions rang out one after another. The surrounding vicious dogs were frightened and immediately fled in all directions. Even the golden boss was frightened. While it was stunned, Wang Shuo used another set of combos. In order to prevent it from escaping, Wang Shuo directly used the iron chain binding skill. Good swished 2 arrows, and Wang Shuo also used the dragon strike. The 3-headed dog of hell finally fell to the ground. You killed the golden boss of the 3-headed dog of hell, and your level was increased to level 33. Upgraded. Wang Shuo had accumulated a lot of experience in the previous battle, and after killing the boss, he finally upgraded again. At the same time, Good and Gongzheng's levels were also upgraded by 1 level. 3 round beads the size of pigeon eggs rolled down on the spot. Wang Shuo was about to go forward to check. De Huang, Er He, Xiao Ha Ba, 3 dogs, were faster than him. They ran over quickly and swallowed the beads in 1 gulp. At the same time, they devoured the corpse of the 3-headed dog of hell in big mouthfuls. Seeing this situation, Wang Shuo could only shake his head helplessly. Seeing how impatient they were, the boss's flesh and blood must have helped them evolve. Sure enough, it didn't take long for them to devour the corpse. Wang Shuo's jaw dropped. 3 small dogs actually ate a whole boss as strong as a bull. At this moment, the 3 dogs also changed. Their size changed, sometimes big, sometimes small, and the color of their bodies kept changing. About half an hour later, the most magical scene happened. The 3 dogs actually merged. Became a new hellhound. Wang Shuo was stunned. Woof, woof. De Huang, Er He, and Xiao Ha Ba kept barking. The 3-headed dogs that were fleeing around also barked, and then gathered around. It seemed that De Huang and the others had become the new king of the 3-headed dogs. A new idea popped up in Wang Shuo's mind. He immediately walked over and flew onto De Huang and the others. As his own pets, they were still very docile. Looking at the 3-headed dogs all over the mountains, he thought that if he could form a cavalry like this, then it would be amazing. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 268. As he said this, he hurriedly tried to order the other 3-headed hellhounds to submit through De Huang to see if he could do it. De Huang immediately woofed. A mountain dog slightly smaller than De Huang came out. Gongzheng, go up and try it. Gongzheng walked over slowly. Although the 3-headed dog was a little timid, it did not run away. When Gongzheng jumped on it, it began to struggle violently. It took Gongzheng to jump around. After a cigarette, it stopped struggling and was completely tamed by Gongzheng. Seeing that it was feasible, Wang Shuo smiled. He formed a cavalry unit of 3-headed hellhounds. After returning to the territory, Ayub had just returned not long ago. Lord, the matter has been settled. Radul, Guanji, and others have also left. Wang Shuo nodded. After these spies were released, they could continue to penetrate other towns and provide intelligence for Wang Shuo's next plan. Abu, I need to select some good players from the Golden Fire Cavalry to form a Cerberus cavalry unit. Lord, how many people do you need? Wang Shuo thought about it and decided to select 500 people first. Afterwards, Wang Shuo selected 500 Golden Fire Cavalry and prepared to enter the breeding space of the Cerberus. At this time, Wang Shuo found that he could no longer enter this space. What's the situation? After defeating the boss, can this space no longer be entered? Afterwards, he summoned De Huang and was able to summon it out. Fortunately, Wang Shuo could only accept this reality. This space can only accommodate Cerberus now. Wang Shuo had to let De Huang select 500 Cerberus from it and let the cavalry tame it. Half an hour later, all the soldiers were riding on the Cerberus. Wang Shuo was very excited. Now he urgently needs a battle to test the strength of this alien beast unit. Enter the ancient battlefield. After adjusting the level of the undead to level 40, Wang Shuo led the three-headed dog troops and immediately launched an attack. After a fierce battle, Wang Shuo could only describe this battle as crushing. The combat power exceeded Wang Shuo's imagination. Compared with the Golden Fire Cavalry, the combat power was directly doubled. After returning to the territory, Wang Shuo was still not satisfied. Now, the placement of the three-headed hellhounds has become a problem. If they are put back in the breeding space, the cooperation between the soldiers and the mounts will inevitably be unfamiliar. If they are raised outside, a new barracks will have to be built. Wang Shuo thought about it and decided to put all the three-headed dogs in the breeding space. After all, that is their home. Just need to let the soldiers and mounts cooperate and train regularly, there should be no big problem with combat effectiveness. At this time, Chang Gui's body was also ready. The woodworking workshop sent someone to deliver a wooden man. After seeing it, Wang Shuo just wanted to laugh. Round wooden head, round wooden body, only arms and legs, still a bit human-like. Chang Gui was so excited when he saw the wooden man. This kind of gloomy wood can better nourish his soul. Although he is a wooden man, he can live in the real world after all. This has been his wish for many years. The previous lords have not been able to do this. He quickly got out of the survivor's manual. A black smoke floated into the wooden man. In an instant, the wooden man's hands and feet moved mechanically, and then the arc of the movement became larger and larger, and soon he was able to walk. Lord, please give me the certificate of priest transfer, Chang Gui said excitedly. Wang Shuo saw Chang Gui's anxious look and did not keep him in suspense. After he changed his job, the wooden man's round wood actually had facial features. Eyes, nose, mouth, one by one. Wang Shuo was stunned. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 269. After a while, a wooden man in a Taoist robe took shape. Chang Gui. Level 59, Sacrifice, Physique, Wooden Man. Attack Power, 100. Defense Power, 50. Life Points, 4000. Skills, Pray, Summon Wooden Man, Life Healing, Immunity. Wang Shuo raised his eyebrows when he saw this attribute. This kid is actually at level 59, and he has several skills. He is quite impressive. Agui, tell me honestly, what level were you before? Lord, in my current recovered memory, I am at this level. Then how much memory do you have not recovered? I don't know. Wang Shuo's pupils shrank suddenly. Maybe there are still memories that have not been recovered, or maybe there are none. Then tell me carefully, what are the uses of these skills of yours? Chang Gui briefly described. Praying can consume certain sacrifices. If you make a wish, there is a certain chance of it coming true. The chance of the wish coming true is proportional to the simplicity. Summoning wooden men can summon 4 wooden men of the same level to fight for him. Life healing can be regarded as a skill that increases life value. And immunity is even more awesome. Not only for himself, but also for others to release skills. To a certain extent, it is immune to attacks, including physical, skills, toxicity, etc. Wang Shuo was very happy. He quickly checked his loyalty and found it was full, so he was relieved. After 3 days of separation, Chang Gui has transformed into a senior talent. At this time, Du and Wengzi walked in. "Boss, there are many refugees coming now, wanting to enter our territory dungeon." "Who are they?" "Most of them are some lords, and there are a few gangs and mercenaries." Wang Shuo rushed to the door of the dungeon. At this time, many people have gathered. "President, you promised us to let us enter the dungeon to level up." Hearing this, Wang Shuo was secretly happy. He took a look and found that it was a lord of Nanshan society. Wang Shuo smiled and nodded. There are fewer and fewer monsters in the wild now, and most players have no place to level up. Originally, there were many dungeons in the wild, but some of them were opened by players and disappeared. There are also some dungeons that are too difficult to handle for small forces. Some are occupied by some lords and are not allowed to be touched by others. The monsters in the dungeons that are not completely controlled by the players have a very slow refresh time, while Wang Shuo's dungeons can basically achieve unlimited monster refresh. Many lords of Nanshan society are envious. The level of the territory army is closely related to the combat effectiveness. Seeing the level of the army in Wang Shuo's territory, they are envious. Wang Shuo saw everyone's eagerness and said with a smile, "You can enter the dungeon. As you know, fighting inside will cause losses. Lord Wang, just tell me directly, how much does this cost?" Wang Shuo glanced at the boy. He was very sensible. Since everyone is mainly for the level, then killing monsters will no longer drop items. 1 hour per person, 10 energy crystals. After Wang Shuo finished speaking, the scene suddenly fell into silence. Many people thought it was a bit expensive. What if the monsters inside are too strong and they can't kill them, or they have to walk a long way to see a monster, then it's a big loss. Wang Shuo probably thought of everyone's concerns, and then said, "Don't worry, there are monsters of all levels inside, and they will refresh very frequently, and they will definitely kill you until you are weak. But there is one thing, entering the dungeon, life and death are at your own risk. If you don't do it within your ability, you can't blame me if you die." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 270. After that, Wang Shuo set the parameters in the dungeon setting interface. In the dungeon, a large number of safe zones were set up. If the player is exhausted, he can enter the safe zone to avoid being attacked. At the same time, a stone pillar was erected at the entrance of the dungeon to facilitate people entering the dungeon to pay energy crystals. When the energy crystals paid by the players are consumed, they will automatically exit the dungeon. Wang Shuo's move is also to hope that more people will upgrade their levels to fight against the upcoming resurrection of the undead. The next morning, several merchants who had agreed to come to Wana town came. Wang Shuo received them in the grocery store. "Lord Wang, how many dead spirit beads do you have in stock?" Wang Shuo was shocked when he heard this. They had disdained this thing before, but why did they pay attention to it now? It turned out that after they went back to promote it, many far-sighted lords took a fancy to this thing. There are also many lords outside the domain. They already know that the undead army of the Truni Empire is powerful. After learning that someone was selling the dead spirit beads, they were very excited and ordered a large number of them. If they hadn't blocked the news, those lords would have sent people to trade in person. They also knew that the news would be exposed sooner or later, so they wanted to stock up a lot of goods at the first time. Wang Shuo said slowly, "Now I have 20,000 in stock. I wonder how many you can eat." Several merchants looked at each other. "How about 5,000 for each of the four of us?" "Okay." Then, they bought a large number of bronze bricks and left with satisfaction. In this transaction, Wang Shuo directly earned 350,000 energy crystals. The dead spirit beads were sold for 200,000 and the bronze bricks for 150,000. With the growth of population, Yanfuji quickly expanded the team of masons, and the daily output of bronze bricks has now reached 500,000. The development of Wana town is proceeding step by step and in an orderly manner. The scale of the Red Flame Army is also constantly expanding, and the total number of people has reached 1,500. Suo Yang, the Minister of Infrastructure, has been extremely busy during this period. The number of residential buildings needed alone is a huge number. The corresponding consumption of wood and stone has increased sharply, and the inventory of the territory is not enough. Duan Wengzi has already opened 5 logging sites and 5 quarries outside. The entire Wana town is like a sophisticated machine, running automatically. Wang Shuo has a rare few days of leisure. But at this time, other lords in the Dawei territory are not idle. Many lords spontaneously organized and continued to attack nearby towns. It was like a peasant uprising. This kind of battle with weak strength and no joint attack. Naturally, it ended in defeat, and the lords were beaten to a pulp. After tasting the taste of failure, they began to unite. It's not that they don't want to unite, but mainly because a small town has only one town heart, and how to distribute it after it is conquered has become the key to their reluctance to unite. Among them, there is no big boss like Wang Shuo. As for those who have big bosses, they have already united. For example, Dongxi village and Sanyang village, they have long become overlords and upgraded their third-level villages to small towns. Seeing more and more small towns being conquered, the remaining lords became more anxious. After all, there are only so many system towns, and if they are conquered by others, they will be gone. After a few days of leisure, Wang Shuo received an invitation. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 271. Lord Wang Shuo, I heard that you have upgraded Wana village to Wana town and obtained the status of mayor. The resurrection of the undead is imminent, so I specially invite you to discuss the plan to fight against the undead. The signature is Lin Xiaodong, the magistrate of Changping County. Wang Shuo fell into deep thought when he saw the news. It is reasonable that Changping County noticed that he had broken through Nanshanji and made such a big fuss. However, Wang Shuo was a little unsure about the attitude of Changping County. What if this is a hangmen banquet, wouldn't he be walking into a trap? After hesitating for a long time, Wang Shuo decided. Ask Chang Gui first. Agi, do you think this is a hangmen banquet? The wooden head was expressionless, but the eyes on it blinked. Lord, it's hard to say. But I can pray for you. Is it enough to pray? Wang Shuo showed a contemptuous look. Don't I have a skill? It's similar to divination. Wang Shuo was skeptical. This is a bit metaphysical. But it doesn't hurt to give it a try. Well, pray for me quickly. Lord, this requires 1 soul crystal and 100 energy crystals. Small money. Wang Shuo agreed to Chang Gui's request without hesitation. According to Chang Gui's request, they set up a simple dojo in an empty room in the Lord's mansion. After everything was ready, Chang Gui knelt on the futon, clasped his hands together, and was pious. My lord, is it dangerous to go to Changping County to keep the appointment this time? He was seen muttering something, and the offerings placed on the altar suddenly disappeared. After a while, he opened his eyes. "Lord, there is no danger on this trip." Wang Shuo saw no changes except seeing the soul crystal and energy crystal disappear. "That's it?" "Yeah, it's over." "Which god are you worshipping?" Chang Gui frowned, spread his hands, and whispered awkwardly, "Lord, I don't know either, but in the dark, an idea was born in my mind. I know the answer." Wang Shuo's mouth twisted, and it turned out that those who pretended to be great gods were not reliable. "You still have to rely on yourself." Wang Shuo thought about it carefully and decided to go and find out. If he didn't go, wouldn't he appear to be a coward? Besides, he still had a resurrection coin, which was also considered an insurance. Since he was going to discuss the big plan, it was obviously inappropriate to bring too many people. So, he only brought Gongzheng, Guda, and Zhou Yuanjia on this trip. After taking a detour through Nanshan Market, Wang Shuo and the other four were teleported to Changping County. The prosperity of Changping County is not comparable to Nanshan Market. The streets are wide and straight, with shops on both sides, and people coming and going. Wang Shuo stepped off the transport platform, and immediately two soldiers came over to question him. "Where are you from? Come and register." Wang Shuo looked closely and saw three civil servants not far away, who were in charge of registration. "My name is Wang Shuo, and I came from Nanshan Market." Wang Shuo did not hide anything, as this trip was an upright act. He followed the soldiers and lined up at the registration office. When it was his turn, he told the person in charge of registration his name again. The registrar was stunned. "Are you Wang Shuo?" "Yes. The county magistrate has issued an order, and you can go to the Lord's mansion on your own." Wang Shuo heard this, and it seemed that the county magistrate had greeted this level of personnel. He was not polite, asked for the direction, and walked straight ahead. The Lord's mansion of Changping County was also in the center. Along the way, Wang Shuo saw many vendors selling various supplies. He thought that when he came out of the Lord's mansion later, he must take a good look around to see if he could find any good things. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Chi Wen. Chapter 272. Arrive at the door of the Lord's mansion. A guard soldier reprimanded, "There are people waiting at the entrance of the Lord's mansion. You are not allowed to stay." "I came to the meeting on the order of the county magistrate," Wang Shuo replied, neither humble nor overbearing. "Okay, then come with me." Wang Shuo followed the guards and stepped into the Lord's mansion. The Lord's mansion in Changping County was much larger than the Lord's mansion in Wanatown. After passing through the courtyard, Wang Shuo and the four of them soon arrived at a hall. A majestic-looking man at the top, with a smile on his face, was talking to a few people sitting on the chairs on both sides. "The mayor of Wanatown, Wang Shuo, has arrived." The guard guarding the door announced the arrival. "Mayor Wang is here, please take a seat." Lin Xiaodong stood up immediately and greeted him with a smile. Wang Shuo stepped into the hall and was immediately flattered. "I've met Magistrate Lin." Wang Shuo also hurriedly saluted. Lin Xiaodong walked over quickly, took Wang Shuo's hand, and introduced him. "This is Zhang Zongji, the mayor of Zhiokai Town, and this is Buletin Lanlin, the mayor of Qinghe Town." Wang Shuo greeted the mayors one after another. All the mayors present here also looked at Wang Shuo, wanting to know why this boy was personally recommended by Lin Xiaodong. You know, even Lawrence, the most powerful mayor of Scarborough Market, did not enjoy this treatment. To Wang Shuo's surprise, Ye Tianba was also here. Wang Shuo then remembered that he had also upgraded Tianba village to Tianba town in the past few days. Talk less and see more. Wang Shuo sat down, and Gud and the other three stood behind him. After another half an hour, the mayor arrived one after another. After Lin Xiaodong saw that everyone had arrived, he cleared his throat and said, "Everyone is invited here today." I believe everyone has some guesses, and it is to discuss how to deal with the resurgence of the undead. Yesterday, Governor Zhao instructed us that the days to come will be even more difficult. He will not send a single soldier to support us in the defense of the territory. However, he gave me 3 high-level town hearts and dozens of town hearts at the same time. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. County Magistrate Lin actually had dozens of those things that the lords dreamed of. And for the magistrates here, the most urgent need is the heart of the high-level town. This is an upgrade. The core prop of the county. If this battle is won, I will award high-level town hearts to the 3 with the highest merit. As for the town hearts, I will distribute 5 to each of you, and you can handle them on your own. As long as you have the heart of the town, you can fundamentally ease the conflicts with the lords and unite all the forces that can be united. The move was even clever. Immediately, a waiter distributed the hearts of the town at once, and Wang Shuo also received 5 of them. Things that he had to fight for free before were now available for free, which made Wang Shuo feel a little sad. Sure enough, for those who need it, this thing is priceless, but for those who don't need it, this thing is just like Chinese cabbage. Next, Lin Xiaodong made arrangements for this defensive battle, which was nothing more than to eliminate the undead attacking his territory as soon as possible, and then support Changping County. After leaving the Lord's mansion, Wang Shuo took the 3 of them to a restaurant and ordered a table of food and drinks. Yuanjia, what do you think of Governor Zhao's move? Zhou Yuanjia immediately put down his chopsticks, shook his feather fan gently, and said slowly, Lord, it seems that the resurgence of the undead this time will definitely cause a lot of noise. This county magistrate Lin directly took out such a precious thing, just because he wanted to let us maintain our current position. As long as we can hold on, we will have a chance to gain the heart of a high-end town that establishes the county seat, and then the benefits he will get will definitely be greater. Wang Shuo nodded. It seems that the next resurrection of the undead will definitely not be so easy to defend. Seeing the 5 town hearts in his hand, Wang Shuo didn't know who to give them to. After leaving the restaurant, Wang Shuo wandered around the city again. Suddenly, a group of people in front caught his attention. Isn't this Lawrence and the others who just had a meeting? Mayor Wang, what a coincidence, Lawrence said with a smile. Mayor Lawrence, what are you doing? Well, we are planning to attend an auction held by the Li Chamber of Commerce. I wonder if Mayor Wang is interested in going with us. Auction. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 273. Wang Shuo touched his nose and said immediately, is it okay? Of course, they would like to have more people, the better. Also accompanying them were Yetianba and Buletin Lanlin. Yetianba, like Wang Shuo, was promoted to the town through war and wresting the heart of the town. Buletin Lanlin is the only female mayor among all the mayors. The 4 of them walked together. At this time, Yetianba approached Wang Shuo. He grinned and said, Mayor Wang, we both have the same roots. Why don't we form an alliance? In the subsequent confrontation between the undead, if anyone feels unable to support each other, we can rescue each other. What do you think? Wang Shuo saw that the other party offered to form an alliance, but he did not refuse. In case when the time comes, he really can't stand it anymore, at least he has a thought. Wang Shuo has no expectations about whether the other party can really send troops. It is better to rely on himself than relying on heaven and earth. By the way, how do you plan to use the heart of town in your hand? Yetianba asked in a low voice. Wang Shuo thought for a moment, shook his head and said, I haven't thought about it yet. Brother Tianba, do you have any ideas? I'm going to put it up for auction. Wang Shuo's eyes widened, Could he still play like this? Shouldn't we find a few trustworthy lords and let them establish the town as soon as possible? After hearing the conversation between the two, Lawrence also came over. The intensity of the undead attack is directly proportional to the size of the town. It is not your own territory. The higher the level, the better. Just like Changping County, the reason why the county magistrate gave us the heart of the town in advance is not because he hopes that we can rescue him when the time comes. In the same way, the capital of Hedong County is facing the greatest pressure this time. If a few counties can defend it, they can then support the capital. Of course, this is also a casual move they made. When the time comes, we still don't know who will rescue whom. In short, the village's defensive pressure will be minimal. Wang Shuo couldn't help but sigh, and he didn't know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing to upgrade the town in advance. Soon, they arrived at the auction hall. The hall, which can accommodate 200 people, was already full at this time. Many lords and mayors had received the news in advance, so they arrived early. Do you know what is included in this auction? Wang Shuo asked with some confusion. Lawrence immediately called a staff member to bring the auction list. Wang Shuo took the list. The auction process and items to be auctioned are written above. Various weapons and equipment, legion orders, special props, everything you need. Wang Shuo immediately started browsing carefully. Not long after, before Wang Shuo finished reading the list, a host walked up to the high platform. Dear lords and mayors, thank you all for coming to participate in the auction jointly organized by our Li Chamber of Commerce and Zhang Chamber of Commerce. You must be a little impatient, so I won't waste any more time and invite you to our first auction. Taste. At this time, a tall, graceful girl walked onto the high platform carrying a tray. The first auction item is a set of blueprints for making golden armor. An adventurer obtained it after nearly dying and killing a golden python. At the same time, several of his companions also died, so I want to auction this thing to pay for my companion's pension. The host, while holding up the drawings, told the story with great emotion. For this kind of words, just listen to it and make up a story. Who can't? Maybe it's a story about gangsters taking advantage of gangsters. Lord Survival, My Shelter in Crocodile Territory. Author, Qi Wen. Chapter 274. Wang Shuo was not interested in this set of armor blueprints because he already had one. But other lords were jealous. Starting price, 10,000 energy crystals. 15,000. 18,000. If you want to fight in the future, good standard equipment is indispensable. It can be said that the value of the set of armor blueprints is definitely not low. Wang Shuo saw that the three people who came with him did not bid. Brother Tianba, don't you need this thing? Well, I'm more interested in the following things. Wang Shuo looked at the beautiful young woman Buletin Lanlin and the gentleman Lawrence again. They were very calm. It seems that they don't lack such things. In the end, this piece of armor blueprint was sold at a price of 110,000 energy crystals. Wang Shuo didn't know whether it was expensive or not. After all, as time goes by, there will be more and more energy crystals, and at the same time, there will be more and more good blueprints. The second auction item is a set of letter darts. This kind of thing is most suitable for assassins. Those who choose lords rarely have this profession. Therefore, there were few bidders, and it was eventually bought by a lord at a price of 20,000. Then, a fragment of a treasure map, a set of Xian-level skills, and a large number of things were taken out. These things were still a little less attractive to Wang Shuo. He only had more than 2 million energy crystals on him, so he had to spend them sparingly. At this time, the host took out a dead spirit bead. Wang Shuo looked at it carefully. Damn, isn't this made by himself? This is really a big deal. The bead in my hand is called the death bead. It can effectively absorb the death energy emitted by the undead. It has the same effect as the death talisman. It will surely shine in the next undead confrontation. The starting price of 1000 pieces is 10,000 energy crystals. Hey, can you sell them separately? This kind of thing is used for military equipment. A few pieces alone are not very meaningful. If you can form an army that is not afraid of death, then it will be invincible. The lords underground whispered to each other. Most of them did not know the horror of the undead army, but they all had a try it attitude. 12,000. 15,000. 18,000. 30,000. Finally, it was bought by a lord at a price of 30,000. Wang Shuo found that most of the bidders were town lords, and there were very few lords from other villages bidding. The next item is a skill, root entanglement. Wang Shuo naturally likes the single target control skill very much. 10,000. He immediately bid. He liked it, and so did others. Others immediately followed suit. 20,000. After several rounds of bidding. Finally, Wang Shuo bought the skill for 100,000. Then there was another skill, Abyssal Swamp. This skill was even more suitable for Wang Shuo. After spending another 60,000 energy crystals, Wang Shuo took it. During this period, Yetianba, Lawrence and the other two also gained something. The last auction item was a rare weapon. The levels of weapons are divided into ordinary, excellent, gold, and rare. This was the first weapon Wang Shuo had seen that was higher than gold. More importantly, it was a spear weapon, the blood-crying spear. Wang Shuo's eyes were burning.